Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Did you know that you can actually utilize the ArcGIS Maps SDK for JavaScript to ask questions about weather, forecast weather, and visualize the weather conditions all in one application? Do you want to know how to do that? Then let's jump to my screen and go through this demonstration. So first I'm going to start with a custom app that I've already built. I'll share the link for the repo along with all the resources in the description. Now I'm going to sign in with ArcGIS Online and start with asking some of the built-in prompts out there. The weather in Tokyo in this use case. This is a bit of a fast forward just to show the work, and you can see that it already navigated to Tokyo and showed the wind. I can also go to Buenos Aires and notice how the scene will now navigate to Buenos Aires, show the weather in Buenos Aires. In this use case, it's daylight. I'm utilizing all these built-in components along with the rain, for instance. So all of that is built on these components. Also in Arabic, if I ask about Beirut, for instance, it will reply the same way along with the weather conditions in Beirut. Now the challenge is, the first thing I want to edit is how the wind renders and the speed of it. I want to inherit that directly from the reply that I'm getting. By the way, I'm using an MCP server in the backend. I asked the agent to edit that. It will go in, look into my app, and implement some math functions in there for wind speeds. Wherever the MCP agent that is in the backend that is returning weather conditions, it got a wind condition, and I'd like to calculate that. I'm gonna restart my server and jump back to the application. Run exactly the same prompt. Now this will run. Again, navigate to Tokyo. It's middle of the night there, so you're gonna see all of that updates. I see the weather or the wind is of okay speed, but I still don't notice the difference out there. And I'm asking it to go and change these, make dramatic animations for high wind speed and a bit slower for lower wind speed. And I'm gonna be working with the GitHub Copilot agent in this use case to do that for me. It reported that it's already fixing the animation, generated some code in the scene manager. Highly recommended to go and check all of these again for a demo purpose and to show what can work. For instance, in here I can see that the CSS it's using is actually in the code in the scene manager, and I'd like to be somewhere else. So I ask it to go and move the styles to the right styles folder or file, and I reference that, and it actually does that for me. So that's there. Let's jump the application again, start it, and see those edits. Again, I'm gonna go and ask a bit of a different location just to show different places around the earth. We're going to Bonar Bridge in Scotland, and it does the same thing. Now this is a bit fast. I fast forward also just when I type the text, but it's already working. The only challenge now is that I've actually asked it to create a wind speed and it showed it in the wrong location. So I'm gonna go back and ask the agent to show me a proper wind speed pop-up, or let's say icon with the direction of the wind, and to make it a bit slower. It was going too fast at this point. So it's gonna go again and do all of that. And notice how it will change the wind information in a moment and show it in a bit of a different location where I asked it to do that. So remember, the aim of this is really to go through the back and forth with these different agents, adjust the code accordingly to reach the place that we want to reach with our application. Now that is done, I'm gonna again do the same, load the app and jump to it to see these changes and how do they look like. So let's try again, and this time with Sydney. The MCP server in the backend is gonna get the weather information and showcase that, render the right information all on the map. We see that it's midnight and wind speed is appropriate with its widget. Now for the next step, I'd also like to ask it in Dutch. Hoe is het weer in Den Haag, Nederland? It should also pick the weather conditions. It speaks the multiple languages or understands the multiple languages and will show that in Den Haag with its current clear sky. Doesn't happen always. Now back to the assistant, and I'd like to do a bit more edits. The wind speed widget is great, but it's dark. I'd like to change that. And as the scene shifts, the user might want to know direction, and a compass for that is great. So I'll ask the agent to do that for me. And as you can see on the screen, it's working its way to find the right components and to move the widget to the right place. We're gonna go through this and navigate back to check these edits. Now I notice that the compass is in the wrong place, and that doesn't really work well. I'd want to change it a little bit, shift it next to the chat window, and I go and I ask the assistant to do that for me. It's gonna go over again, find that component that it added for the compass and put it in the right location. You can see I accept these, but as I'm fast forwarding, I usually read through them and make sure that it's looking into the right place. Let's test. One, I do see the widget is in the right place. I'll hit run, and as it navigates to Tokyo again, notice how the wind widget also showed up in the right location. I don't like the dimensions of it, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. As I'm happy with the edits, all is good for me now. I know alignments can be a bit better, but let's say I'm ready to push this repo to GitHub. I'm gonna go to my agent and ask it to do so for me. I want to publish a dev and a main repos, and I'll ask the agent to do these on my behalf. So I go and write this command, as you can see on the screen, and the agent will work its way through, ask me for my approval, write the proper commit messages as we can see there, and push all of these into GitHub so you guys can download and test the application and play with it. Now that I'm done with all the changes and pushed the repo to GitHub, I'll navigate there and verify that the Copilot agent just pushed the latest updates to the repo that will be available in the description of this video. Back to the camera. I really hope you learned something new today and you saw how we got weather forecasting into ArcGIS with animation components inside our web scene in a custom application. I invite you to fork the repo, clone it, work with it, and as I mentioned through the video, 2 challenges that I left up and out there. One, the easier I'd say, is align the widget for the wind with the clock widget. You can follow the same workflows we showed today. And another challenge that I'd like to put out there is we now can ask an agent, how's the weather in that city? How about we ask the agent, how's the weather in that city and what can I pack to go on a trip to that city? For that, I can think of 2 workflows, a custom agent in the application or a link to an MCP server that does that already. I'm not sure if that exists, but I'll leave it out for you. And I'm happy if I see any work on that. I'll fork the repo, as I mentioned, and I'll merge it back into the original repo to showcase that if it makes it out there. Thank you for watching this far, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.